Have you ever stopped to think about why so many of our relationships, even the really good ones, can sometimes feel like, well, a struggle? Today, we're going to dive into The Vortex by Esther and Jerry Hicks. It offers a totally different way of looking at our connections, a pretty radical shift in how we approach everything, really. So, yeah, let's get right into it.
Okay, so this quote from Jerry Hicks, it really just sets the stage perfectly, doesn't it? That whole quiet desperation thing. He's talking about that subtle feeling that something's off. You're not complaining all the time, but the joy isn't really there either. I think a lot of us can relate to that, and that's the exact problem this book is trying to tackle. All right, so let's dig into that core problem first. Why is it that human connection, something that should be so natural, can end up feeling so complicated? And honestly, sometimes just plain draining.
So, the book kicks off with a really radical idea. It says the source of all that friction in our relationships, it's not what the other person is doing or saying. Nope. The real issue, according to the Hicks, is the perspective we're holding. I mean, that's a huge shift, right? It takes the focus completely off of blaming other people and points it right back at our own internal world.
Okay, so to really get this new perspective, we have to understand the core concept of the book, the thing it's named after. So what in the world is the vortex?
All right, so what is it? The book paints this picture of the vortex as like an energetic holding place. Think of it this way. Every single time you've ever wished for something better, a healthier relationship, a solution to a problem, or just a better feeling, that desire doesn't just disappear. It gets collected and held for you in what they call a vibrational reality. It's basically the spot where the best version of your life, with all those desires fulfilled, already exists.
And the whole point of understanding this isn't just some abstract idea. It's deeply personal. It's all about helping you reconnect with your true core self, what the book calls your inner being. It's basically a tool to help you actually feel good about yourself, to appreciate yourself, and to realize you're not just a physical body walking around. You're an energetic being, a vibrational being. And this quote, it really nails the feeling of what it's like to be in the vortex. It's this powerful, creative flow of energy. And it's not about pushing or forcing things to happen. It's more like tuning into a radio station, finding the frequency of well-being that's already there, that's naturally yours.
But this brings us to the big question, right? It's the million-dollar question. If this amazing vortex of well-being actually exists and is available to us, then what's blocking us? Why does our day-to-day life, and especially our relationships, feel so disconnected from that?
Well, the book has an answer for that. It explains this disconnect by pointing to something it calls flawed premises. These are basically the hidden, subconscious beliefs that are messing things up and blocking our connections. So, what's a flawed premise? Think of it as a belief that we all just kind of absorb from our parents, from society, the stuff that sounds true and logical, but in reality, it's actually working against us. The book lists 22 of these, and they're like static on the radio, just interfering with that clear signal from our own inner guidance.
Let's take a look at a classic one. I mean, most of us grew up with this idea, right? Shouldn't my parents know what's right for me? They've been around longer, they've got the experience.
Well, the book calls this flawed premise number 2, and the argument against it is this. Even if our parents mean well, our real guide is what the book calls our emotional guidance system. Basically, your feelings, your gut. That's what tells you if you're on the right track for you. And if you're always chasing their approval instead of listening to that inner compass, you're pretty much giving away your own freedom. Okay, here's another one that sounds like total common sense. To have a good relationship, don't you have to agree on things? Isn't the whole goal to find harmony and common ground?
But this is where the book really flips the script. It calls this flawed premise number 19. And the idea is, if you're so focused on creating harmony with someone else that you ignore the harmony with your own inner self, well, that's a recipe for resentment. The book says the absolute first priority, the most important harmony you can ever find, is the one with yourself.
And this all leads us right to the book's big solution. See, if these flawed beliefs are the problem, then the answer isn't out there. It's not about trying to fix other people. The real work, it's all internal.
This slide just lays it out so clearly. The common way we do things is all about looking outward, right? We try to change the other person. We make our happiness their job. But the vortex approach, it's the total opposite. It's about looking inward, getting aligned with yourself first. You make your own happiness your job, period. It's about finding that fulfillment from within before you even try to connect with someone else.
And this really is the core message of the entire book. That relationship between you and you,
your everyday physical self, and that deeper inner being, that's the foundation. That's the relationship that everything else, every other successful connection in your life is built on.
This also leads to a really powerful twist on a concept we all know, the soulmate. The book redefines it completely. It suggests the ultimate soulmate isn't some other person you have to search the world for. It's the act of consciously connecting or mating with your own soul. And the cool part is, when you get that alignment right, you just naturally start attracting people who vibe with that harmony.
And this quote just drives that point home. You must be selfish enough. And look, I know that word selfish can sound bad, but this isn't about being inconsiderate. It's that old saying, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. Getting yourself into alignment, truly appreciating who you are, that comes first. Because without that, what do you really have to give to someone else?
So, we'll leave you with this final thought, a question that really sums up this whole perspective. What if your perfect soulmate is your own soul? What if that whole big search for the perfect partner is actually, deep down, a search for yourself? It's a pretty profound idea, and it totally reframes the quest for connection. It puts all the power and all the love right back where it's always been, inside of you.